Joe Gilganon has been in This Is England. He was Lol, who was Vicky McClure's kind of love interest throughout them. Preacher, of course, in America, Misfits. He's now starring in a new comedy based kind of on his life. In Brassic, I mean, this is a guy who has ADHD, he's dyslexic, and he's bipolar. And he's had to deal with all of those things. Just listen to it. He started by telling me about how big a deal it was for him to write this new comedy for Sky called Brassic, and particularly his character Vinny.
I've really laid myself bare in this one. It's me. Like, Vinny is me, especially the mental health side of things. That is absolutely, it's so accurate. It's even down to the drugs he's on. He's on exactly the same amount and the same type as drugs that I'm on. In fact, I've had to go up on my medication recently. I've been a bit down for quite a few months this time. It's longer than normal. And it was after Brassic. It was such a big climactic, my head's never stopped. It's almost like it feels like you're running into a brick wall as fast as you can. Suddenly everything stops. You have time to my mind doesn't really rest. And people go, you must get rest. You must have some rest, Joseph. You look so tired. Like, you're talking, my thought process and me dialogue with people is manic and unhinged. You must rest. And my body will, but my mind won't stop. It's restless. It never stops. It's like the Eye of Saruman. Let me tell you something about the Eye of Saruman. Have you watched Lord of the Rings?
Of course, dude.
This is what I've realised, right? Saruman, the reason it's not Saruman, it's Sauron, is it? The eye, the all-seeing eye. My head's like that all-seeing eye. Lidless. Never sleeps.
Sauron,
is it? So I need to make him a lid. That was the problem. Lidless, never sleeps. Of course he's going out of his mind.
That's extreme sleep deprivation would send you that way.
Psychosis.
I was reading when you were doing Preacher and you had one of these moments that you feel that you're in now.
Yeah.
The moment is somewhere, I'm not trying to undermine it.
Yeah, no,
because it's powerful, right?
Yeah.
And you were having to speak to other cast members to kind of reassure you that you could do this. There is a fear that overwhelms you that you can't act. I can't
man.
Do this.
No, dude, all the time. Like, so last year with Brassic, the pre-production, all the development that's taken 5 years, and then suddenly it's the day, and now I have to be Vinny, and I'm like, I don't know how to act. I still don't feel like I know what I'm doing. Like, and I hate all my performances, dude. Like, I watch it all back and think, you know what, man? It's a miracle people are still employing you. Like, and I always have this. I'll come up with their agenda as to why and it'll never be because I'm talented, And by the time I'd got to Preacher, I remember thinking, well, there's been so much thought and I'm so emotionally drained from Brassic. How am I going to cope with this? Like, not just the acting side of things, which is a lot of pressure you have to deliver, but just the social aspects. I mean, I'm exhausted now. I've just spent 6 months completely exposing myself to, and in the dying hope that people are going to like it. I mean, if people don't like it, it means my bloody life's boring, like, it means it was boring and a pointless story to tell. The
previews have been amazing, though.
It's been unbelievable. Dude, honestly, like, I honestly feel like it's as good as it could have gone. Like, I don't feel like some of the people who have interviewed me, them journalists, they've been so kind. Like, the way they've wrote about me and how honest they've been. I always stress that I never want to hold back. I never want to be the actor you look at and think role model. Like, that's not why I'm here, like,
But you do get cast as that because of your honesty. So people will say, look at him talking about being bipolar, ADHD, dyslexia, struggles, and that in itself.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. Yeah, I guess so, man.
Because people feel so alone.
Yeah.
You must have felt, you do now. You were just saying, after Brassic finishes, you go home and you're alone again.
Yeah, I am alone again.
And you're alone with your uncomfortable self.
Yeah, I am. I think what I'm saying is, I suppose in that sense, maybe I am a role model, but I think what I'm saying is I don't always deal with my issues in a healthy way. And I think that's important to talk about. You know, like if you suffer with mental health, prolonged mental health, got described as careworn. I had to look that up. I'll get back to that in a minute. But if you've got prolonged mental health, you know, and your medicine maybe isn't working and you're not getting enough talking therapy, whether that be with your friends, family or an actual therapist, what I tend to end up doing is self-medicating. And we'll not go into too much details, but the people at home can use their imagination. And it's serious. It can get serious for me. Now, it's never, ever, I'd never put my job at risk. Like, it means everything to me. It feels like it's all I have sometimes, you know, this escape, being someone new. But it doesn't come without its costs. You know, there's an element to it where the lines get very blurred and I can eventually hit the self-destruct, which I think a lot of people can do. What I'm saying is I've not nailed it. I've not worked it out yet. I've not suddenly, like, gone through Barasic and all this therapy and medication and come out the end. There's a brilliant Bon Iver lyric, right? And he says, "This isn't the sound of a new man or of crispy realisation. It's the sound of the unlocking and the lift away." You know, and what I'm saying is, and what I think he was saying is, I'm not changed. This hasn't changed me, all this stuff. I'll always be mentally ill. And I'll constantly be learning how to manage my symptoms. You know, they're so erratic and unhinged sometimes. It's very hard to know what I need, you know, what's going to help me. I never ask myself that question. What'll help now while you're feeling so down? So I don't want to pretend that I've got it. What I'm saying is I don't want to pretend that I've worked it out, because I haven't. And I think a big part of it is accepting that you'll never quite work it out fully. Yeah. You know, and being okay with that, and just being all right with, even when I go off the rails, like being all right with that too. Like, you know, I'm entitled to a mental breakdown every now and then. We all are, you know, but don't underestimate yourself as a result of it. It's just part of being human. Some have it more than others.
Can you flip it in any way, though, Joe? In the sense that there's a Kanye West lyric when he talks about being bipolar, and he says, "This is not my disability. This is a superpower."
Yeah, yeah.
Is it possible to twist it like that and go, "Do you know what?
Definitely
Actually,
it is.
This can."
Definitely, it is. If I'm down here, it's all right. If I'm up here, it's all right. And if I'm in the middle, I'm bored, right? And the thing with a high, when you get on the manic high, is you don't need to sleep. Like, you everything's brilliant all the time. The birds are in the sky. You know, the bloody trees are green. The flowers are blooming. Like, everything's fantastic. You know, you're socialising. You know, I don't mind being on my own in that scenario. But then, of course, there's the dark end as well. The middle bit is so boring. That thing I used to crave for. The medicine can give me it can sort of level me out if I play my cards. If I just do medicine and don't do too much drinking or too much drugs, I do seem to balance out a bit, you know. And when I'm on a high, I have to take advantage of that. You know, I do a ton of writing. I try a lot of I get a lot of exercise done, because I know that it's eventually going to catch up to me, that old horse.
So what do you do on the low?
On the low, how do I manage it? Well, for the first thing I tend to do is isolate myself. I cut back on smoking dope, because that can exacerbate symptoms. And I write, and because I'm in my own head all the time, I start piecing together ideas. Since Barasic and since people seeing that I'm capable, it's inspired me to want to do more. And I feel like my ideas are bloody good, actually. Yeah, and I
the critics agree with you.
Yeah, well, thanks, man. And honestly, I've got to say, I know it's the job, but I'm so grateful. I'm so bloody grateful. I mean, went on Chris Evans' breakfast show, and I mean, he just such a, like, couldn't have been kinder about the show. It's just unbelievable, man. The feedback we've got has just been unreal. It's like a dream.
Are you good at absorbing kindness and appreciation and kind of bathing in it, or are you constantly looking for the agenda?
It's an agenda. I mean, the thing is, the truth is, I suppose, is people wouldn't say it if they didn't mean it. There must be an element of truth in some of the things
if
they
enough
say.
people are saying it, Joe, do you know what I mean?
Exactly,
You've got to take it on.
Yeah, but do you know what? You're absolutely right. And even then, I'm like struggling. I'm like, all of you, you're conspiring
You've
together.
got a WhatsApp group and you're trying to mug me off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's so true, man. Yeah, no. So I don't bask in it at all. Like, and I don't think it's wise to bask in it either. I think that's when you become complacent. I reckon that's around the time to throw the towel in. I think if you think you're nailing it every time, then that's not a good thing. That's not great, you know.
No, that's where complacency comes from.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? Yeah,
definitely.
But equally, it's not healthy, is it, to constantly be going, this is rubbish.
This is terrible and I'm useless.
Do you know, there's a beatboxer called Shlomo. He's an amazing beatboxer, and he was up in Edinburgh last week, and he said that when he stopped being just ultra critical of himself, he started to enjoy it, and that ultra criticism led to his own mental health breakdown because it was never good enough.
Right,
he was never good enough. And similarly with what you're saying, there has to be a point where you go, actually, and it's a really invigorating and free thing to suddenly go, do you know what?
We've done a good
I
job
am
there.
good enough.
Yeah,
like I've nailed it. Like, you know.
I mean, honestly, like I truly, I want to believe that, and I want to tell you that now. I want to tell, I'd love to be able to say that I've love for myself, and I feel that I know my own worth, not just as an actor, but as a person too. But the truth is, the honest truth is, I think I'm always going to struggle. I'm 35 now. I've been dealing with this from a very young age, and maybe I'm still young enough to not quite know what I need. I don't know. I know that Brassic has just been a godsend, and being able to tell my story, it's been so liberating, man. My career, dude, here in the UK and abroad, any interview I've ever given, I give a version of myself. I do this construct of what I think the people want to see. And I've had to stop doing it because the trouble with that is no one takes you seriously. Clowns are good fun. Like, they make you laugh. But no one takes them seriously. I mean, it's taken a long time for me to work that out. And actually, I do have a side to me which is, I'm bloody clever. I'm not stupid. I'm not like, because I joke around and like to have a laugh. My bloody phone's vibrating like crazy. It's probably Dominic from Sky Production telling me to stop talking about drugs. Poor lad. Honestly, he's got his work cut out for him, our Dom. Terrible. So yeah, I'm one day, maybe. And I don't always, I don't want to come across as a complete misery guts. Like, there are times where I look at my work and look, like, especially with Brassic, I see the achievement of just getting it on the TV at all is huge. Meeting men like, I've got to mention these people: Emily Bray, David Livingston. We call him Chicken Livers, Danny Brocklechops, Danny Brocklehurst. Like these people have kind of changed my life. They were the first people. David Livingston was the first person to go, your ideas are great and I'm going to do something with them. Like, I totally believe in you. No one had ever really done that before. Then I meet Danny, and Danny does the same thing.
Were you talking to a fellow actor, Joe, and you were telling about your childhood stories and a fellow actor? I can't remember one of the Dominics.
Dominic West,
Dominic West.
Multiple Doms in my life.
Yeah.
All really
Cooper
posh.
and West.
All gorgeous and posh. I've no ugly
super
Doms.
Posh.
Yeah, I've no ugly Doms.
Cooper's super posh.
Oh, man, it's mad, isn't it?
And Dominic West said,
he encouraged
you should write
it.
This stuff down.
Yeah, we'd chill on my balcony in this like flat I had, and during that time I was going through a mental breakdown. I was starting to suffer with chronic anxiety. It was on a film called Pride. It was just bizarre. It was so bad. The symptoms were so bad. I thought I had some kind of an illness. I thought maybe I have vertigo, or like it's a sinus infection or an ear infection or something, because I was getting all these dizzy symptoms. And I'd sit with Dom, and Dom, I always felt safe with Dom. There's people you can talk to and you can entirely be you. Like, you don't have to question anything you're saying. You know they're going to get you every time. And Dom always did. And we'd spend a lot of time together, me and Dom, filming. He was I felt anyway, he was my He was my best chum on that job. He really looked after me, and we were on this balcony this one time, and I'm telling him about some of my escapades, some of the stuff I got up to when I was young. And he just said, you know what, man, this is just the great stories, but this is pointless. Like, you're just telling one of your mates on a freezing balcony, like, do something with it, man. I said, I just didn't know. I didn't want to make the jump. It's like jumping off a diving board, not knowing whether there's water underneath you. It's like, it's that moment before you fall in love. You know, you're vulnerable and you don't want to get going. You know, it's like going to the gym almost. You know that thing where you've not been to the gym for a while. You've not been on that run. I'm actually going through it myself at the moment, getting a bit of a gut. But you know, it's that just getting back on the saddle is kind of terrifying, and it's a lot of work that's about to start. But you just chip away at it. You do one thing at a time. Work out what you want to do, work out who you want to be, and go and bloody do it. And just do it in steps. Don't look at the big picture. That's pointless. It's never the way you think it's going to be. You're never going to get it the way you thought you would. You'll get what you want. It won't be what you thought it'd be. You'll get it somehow, but it won't be the way you thought it was going to be. It's the same every time. Nothing's ever like you think it's going to be. I've got a read through later on today, and I'm terrified. I hate reading out loud because I can barely read. I'm dyslexic. So I'm going to make multiple mistakes all the way through it in front of roughly 70 people. Some of these people are execs. You know, we want to impress them. And I've imagined that to be... I mean, last night I must have had about 2 hours sleep, you know, just all night imagining how it's going to go down, the lines I'm going to mess up. You know, I've read some lines while I've been practicing. I've been reading some lines with the wrong intention. That's going to be really embarrassing. You know, like, there's just this pure piercing terror. Like, and I'm telling you now, I'll get there. It'll not be half as bad. Deep down, I know that, but I can't quite access the feeling. You know, the thought is there. Like, I know that it won't be as bad.
Is that what the tattoos are about as well, though? In the sense that a tattoo, especially when you're having it done, the feeling.
Yeah.
That you know, this one here hurt so much, and I always remember that one more than that one.
Yeah, I'll bet.
And
yeah.
you've got agony tattooed on your hand.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
I mean, you can overread that, but I mean, It can be in the moment that, my God, on your hand there would be agony, but obviously it's something deeper than that because you've etched it into your skin.
It's yeah, it is. Like, you know, tattoos are a big part of, I think, the healing process, and also respecting and trusting my struggles. You know, looking down at these different symbols and seeing that I overcame that. And it's a constant reminder.
What was that agony then?
Agony is because I went through a period of prolonged depression, and I didn't eat, I didn't brush my teeth, I didn't wash. I was doing really unusual things, like really weird behaviour, like peeing in bottles and things like that, like keeping my pee, and just mad. I mean, oh, dude. This agonising thought process that just never, ever stops. It's the all-seeing eye. Never, ever sleeps. Like, when I do fall asleep, the dreams are just terrifying. Like, I wake up and I'll just stay in bed as long as I possibly can. The agony of that prolonged depression leaves me careworn. To the point where people bloody pick up and they look at my face and go, he struggles. You know, I've got that face. Careworn. I've never heard that saying before. It made me cry. It made me fill up. It made me feel up that's my resting face. You know, some people have resting bitch face, and I have this resting, weary. Oh no.
What's joy, Joe?
Joy?
Yeah, what does joy feel like?
Being on set. I love being on set. I love being other people. I love pretending to be someone else who's not, well, they're all damaged. A lot of the parts I play, a lot of the characters I play are damaged characters, I suppose, in one way or another. Mm. That's a big joy. I love my family. I love my sisters. I love my mate Quail. He's out there. He's disabled eye. I have a lot of love around me. You know, I do. I'm very wealthy in that sense. You know, I feel incredibly lucky to have such a supportive team around me, family and friends. I do. I don't access it all the time, but that's joy for me, knowing that it's there.
Do you want to be a dad one day?
Do you know, I've been thinking about this a lot recently. Like, I'm in that age now where a lot of my friends have got kids. Yeah, it's kind of terrifying. I mean, Quail, his little lad.
I bet you're Uncle Joe to a lot of kids.
I am Uncle Joe to a lot of kids. I'm Uncle Knobhead though. I'm not the cool uncle.
No, you are the cool uncle.
Oh,
I bet the kids absolutely love Uncle Joe, mate.
I've been away for that long. I do miss being Uncle Joe, and my sister's children, Teddy and Franco, being around and watching them grow up. I mean, that is just such a joy.
But what about for you yourself?
For me, I struggle. I struggle a bit. Like, in all honesty, I don't want to create the illusion that I'm just always completely down, miserable and down in the dumps, because I'm not. I have good days and I have bad, just like everybody else. But joy. I used to like running a lot. That's kind of fallen by the wayside while I've had so much work. There's just not been the time. And any time I do get, I think I'd just much rather have a spliff and watch Bob's Burgers or like Rick and Morty or something,
But to be a dad, you have to be there, right? And acting takes you to different parts of the world. I forgot about the question.
Yeah. So being a dad would be tough. I think that's a huge responsibility. My mate Quayle and John Lee, they're two perfect. They're amazing dads. Like every minute that they're with that child is for them. They live in their world. You can't bring a child into your world. They're not interested. You have to live in theirs. That's why it's so bloody exhausting. And they are monsters. They're my heroes, John and Dave. Like, that's a version of a dad that I could only, I hope one day maybe I am a dad, and I hope that I can be a good dad, just like John and Dave. But I think it takes a lot. I think it takes a real man, and I wonder whether I'm still a bit of a boy,
Well, the thing is, they say, don't they, that, marriage makes you confront your own selfishness, and being a dad makes you destroy it.
Yeah, right? I'll bet. Yeah. Have you got kids?
Yeah, I've got two, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But, I mean, your own dad, your mum and dad divorced when you were 11.
They did, yeah. So it was a crucial age, really. I mean, your development at around that age, you're becoming a young man.
Of course.
And it just fell apart. And I mean, it was no one's fault. For years, I was very, very angry about all that. I held a lot of resentment and towards both mum and dad. But you get to 30 and you realise that, firstly, your parents love you as much as they're able. They love you as much as they can. And not always brilliant, but look, that's the card you've been bloody dealt. And my mum and dad loved me a great deal. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they didn't love me. I've got an amazing mum, and I've got an amazing dad.
Your dad had to deal with quite a few.
He had a lot
upheavals of himself.
He did. He's really.
Which at 11
struggled.
you wouldn't really get a sense of.
No, you can't understand it. You can't understand why Dad's drinking like he is. And my dad had isolated me. I do take after my dad quite a bit. There's a lot of. I see a lot of myself in my dad. And my mum, what you realise as you get older, you realise that no one's perfect, and nothing pans out the way you thought it would. You can't choose who you fall for, and you can't choose you don't get to decide when you fall out of love either. It's the nature of things, and I think it's such a normal thing now for people to divorce and separate. We've realised that not everyone can go the distance. The compatibility sometimes isn't quite there. Things get in the way and wreck stuff. It's just the nature of the world and life, But at 11, I didn't understand that. So I was very angry. And, I can't read, I can't write, I can't control my moods. I get really down, and then next minute I'm hyperactive and getting in tons of trouble, So there was this period of restlessness that went on for a very long time, and I think it was very damaging. I sort of went off the rails and did my own thing. And
you used to like a tear-up, apparently.
I loved a tear-up, yeah, I did. I mean, I can't now. I freeze now. I used to love having a roll about, yeah, I did.
And would you start it? Or were you the guy that would finish? Oh, so you would be up for... Who were you looking at?
Yeah. Not now. I mean, I don't want to be seen rolling around on the floor.
No, I
don't want to be seen rolling about.
I feel you 100%.
And I'm skinny, man. Lads my age, 35-year-olds, are now, men. big men. I stayed a skinny little runt. I don't want to get knocked about like that. Not anymore.
I like. I was reading an interview of you, and you were asked, "What would your last meal be?" And you went, "I'd have a strawberry daiquiri because I'm properly into strawberry daiquiris."
Yeah, love them. Yeah, love them. Love a daiquiri. Love a daiquiri. Love a daiquiri, man.
Mate, you have travelled a long way from Chorley.
I tell you, introduced me to the daiquiri. It won't surprise you to hear that it was Dominic Cooper.